his blood. It's in his kidneys, his liver, his gallbladder, his intestines. Lame is all through him.
Guess there really ain't nowhere to start but here. Ciara was on the Breakfast Club.
When you hear people say Russell Wilson is corny, what's your honest reaction?
Oh my gosh, that I don't have to even reply to that.
Charlamagne being petty. Charlamagne was being messy.
Yeah.
And even when she was answering the question, she was like who?
Who's the man saying it?
Mm-hmm. What Channing Crowder said it.
He said Channing Crowder.
He should have.
She knew. Let's be honest here. She knew exactly who Charlamagne was talking about.
I saw it. I did, and I saw answer. And then she want to go back to, but he's a loving person and a great husband. I didn't say he's not a great husband. It's amazing what he's doing with Lil Future. Like, the dude is a good human. He is lame still. I don't know if anybody doesn't understand. They're not running me off of this point. Lame is an opinion. She even said it. So who's saying? Because that's their opinion. Yeah. She's from Atlanta. I'm from Atlanta. She wasn't going to date Russ back in 2000. Time came forward. She evolved to dating the lame dude. He is a good person, a good human being, but the dude is lame. Y'all know what lame is. Bro, you know how many people, I'm not putting nobody else in my boat because I'm peddling this by myself. I've talked to a number of people that's like, bro, you're right. He's not like that. He's inner city Atlanta dude is not hanging out with Russell Wilson.
So I actually have a nuanced take, and I think I've always had pretty much the same take when it comes to this conversation. It's back again. We've had the conversation and discussion of, is Russell Wilson lame, corny? The conversation's been had many, many times. And so many women have an opinion on this. And I think they don't understand that there are two different reasons men may not look up to Russell Wilson, right? You have someone like Channing Crowder who says, hey, he's just lame. And he's the second option when it came to the type of man who Ciara would have naturally been attracted to at her peak. And he was the man who came up and cleaned up the mess, played stepdad to Future's child. But without wasting anybody's time, and we're going to finish the rest of this video. We actually have a lot of videos to check out here. Here's my stance when it comes to Russell Wilson. I think there are two groups, right? There are the men who are like, man, he's lame and he's not cool, right? People could say like he's not street enough. And why does that matter? Well, like Channing Crowder said, Russell Wilson was not Ciara's first option. She was more attracted to at her peak. Call it she didn't know any better, a lack of maturity, spiritual maturity, whatever it was. He wasn't her first option. And to a lot of dudes, they're like, you love hood dudes, you love street dudes. The first guy, your baby daddy, is the number one dude. And what do men like Channing Crowder see? Well, they often see a man who she in her past would have looked down upon and said, he's lame. He's not cool. He's not street enough or hood enough or whatever you want to call it. You'll often see those women double back to find a man like Russell Wilson to play that stepdad role. Now, to me, I don't care about Russell Wilson being lame or not cool. I stopped caring about being lame or cool in high school when I realized that you can be cool and broke. That you cannot be lame and your life can still be in disarray. To me, and I think many men like myself, the issue they have with the Russell Wilson conversation isn't that the man is a great father and a great stepfather on top of that, and is a godly man. It's the fact that a lot of women say he's the standard. Put that coffee down.
This coffee smells like shit.
Right? You look at him and they'll say, he's the standard. This is how every man should be. You should go out there and do the same thing. And it's like, hold up a second. Are you saying that the standard is a man who should go around and his first priority should be wifing single moms, knowing that you weren't his first pick? Now you're taking a little too far. Let's talk about the sponsor of this channel, FathersHaveRights.com. Engaged and soon-to-be married men, hiring the wrong lawyer can leave you with an overpriced, unenforceable prenup. Avoid the trap. Inside my step-by-step guide at FathersHaveRights.com, renowned attorneys James Sexton and the lead attorney lay out the exact questions to ask, red flags to spot, and proven steps to hiring the perfect prenup lawyer. The guide itself costs only a couple of dinner dates. far less than a single billable hour. Hit the link pinned to the top of the comment section, lock in your guide, and join the hundreds of men securing their marriages the right way. Now you're taking it a little too far, even to the guys who disagree with the whole lame, cool conversation. I could care less about all that. Doesn't affect my life, not even one bit. But then chicks want to say, oh, every man should be like Russell Wilson. I'm looking for my stepdaddy. And this was around the time where people were like asking Ciara, what was the prayer that you prayed, to get this man? It was kind of like, listen, ladies, calm down. And I think a lot of chicks don't realize that there's two opinions. They might say, oh, no, that's wrong. We support all good men. What about this guy? You guys hated this dude who married this very talented, wonderful black woman. Most men respect Jonathan Owens. But when he said, hey, she shot her shot at me, she pursued him, you guys had a problem with it. Why? Because the dynamic you want is the dynamic where a man is putting a woman on a pedestal. He's like simping, essentially. And no, I don't think just because you're a stepfather, you are a simp. That's craziness, right? This is like the men who say every person who's ever gotten married is a simp. And that would put every successful person in our generation as a simp and everybody online isn't. That doesn't make any sense, right? I don't put those blanket statements, but I hope you guys understand where I'm coming from. Let's keep watching.
That's what I'm saying. It's lame. The dude does not. He got that moose shit in his hair. Honestly, bro, y'all looking around because y'all even know I'm right. The dude is not a cool person, but that's my opinion.
Right.
You go find the boys that play at Wisconsin and Nebraska, they'll hang out with us. A dude from inner city Atlanta is not hanging out with Russell Wilson. That's what I say. Lame to me is different than lame to y'all, is different than lame to, I guarantee him and Logan Mankins would get along. You see y'all understand what I'm saying? I guarantee him and some square ass dude from somewhere would get along. I'm looking at him and saying, man, I never with him, he's lame. That's my point. It's opinion, lame, cool's opinion, and y'all ain't running me off of this forever.
No, I'm not trying to run you off. Obviously, your opinion is yours. I didn't expect you to double down on it, but...
What you want me to do? Say, oh, he's cool now.
No,
it's in his blood. It's in his kidneys, his liver, his gallbladder, his intestines. Lame is all through him.
Yo, this is hilarious. I have to say, man, I do respect, and there's a difference, right? I do respect someone who's able to hold true to their stance, even though I don't care about how cool someone is. Like, that doesn't matter to me. I have my own reasons, but I do respect him for not backing down because he truly believes that. Obviously, Channing Crowder's like, hey, I wouldn't hang out with them. I know dudes in Atlanta who wouldn't hang out with them. And maybe he could see himself hanging around with someone like Future more than he would Russell Wilson. To me, I wouldn't be kicking it with Future either. That's me. There are very few rappers' lives and instances in their lives where I could say I look up to them. But you can learn something from someone like Future. You can learn a lot about female nature, right?
That's what she's supposed to do. She's supposed to take up for the good guy, the simp that's coming clean her life up.
The hate y'all got for Russell Wilson, simply taking in a child that wasn't his and loving it like it's his, needs to be studied. But honestly, if I had to pinpoint where all the anger comes from, it's got to be because nobody ever Russell Wilson you and your siblings, right? Once your daddy didn't want your mama, nobody came in and wanted her either. Nobody ever came in to take care of you and your siblings. Nobody ever came in and wanted to be a father to you. And that's what you upset about. You would have loved to have had a Russell Wilson. You would have loved to have had a man come step in for your father and treat you like you was theirs. Do all of the stuff with you and take that type of care and love for you. You would have loved that, but you didn't get that. And that's got to be the resentment that you feel as to why you hate this man for being a good man.
First off, you guys are familiar with Dana. She's featured a lot on the channel. I like a lot of her takes. Here I would disagree. I think there's a misunderstanding here. Do I think that the men who are looking at this are jealous and they're like, I wish I had a daddy like Russell Wilson? I don't know. Maybe. But I don't think that's it. I think that men know the game that a lot of chicks play when it comes to what's known as the dualistic mating strategy, right? Is I want the seed from the man who I find physically attracted to, but later on, I'm going to look for somebody who wouldn't probably be my first pick, and I'm going to have him take care of that child. Again, nuance. You always hear me add nuance to this conversation because people would love me to say single mothers never get married. They do. They do find men, and they're not all like Russell, right? Many of them do bring value, and a man's able to overlook those things. You can be angry about it all you want. You can punch the air, be like, it happened. But the problem with the men who don't want to do that, and that's men like myself, who want a woman who's not coming with children because they're allowed to want that. They're allowed to value that. The issue that you're seeing here is that women praise Russell Wilson as being the standard and being like, this is a man who other men should look up to, when they don't want his life. They don't want his life. They know that you find the hood dude attractive, that you need more street in the dude that's going to be clapping the cheeks. Let's keep it real. And I even remember Dana a while back saying this in a video 2 years ago.
This is such a real thing. I'm going to even go this far as to say majority of the attractive men in our community usually be hood dudes. And I hate to say that. I honestly, from the bottom of my heart, hate to say that because it's sad. It's sad that majority of the attractive men that black women have to choose from, they are hood.
More nuance. And no, just because someone's hood doesn't mean they are toxic. But in the context of this conversation, this is what was being talked about. They were talking more on the hood, toxic type, Future being that like perfect archetype of that type of a man. When men hear that over and over again, and they know they don't want to play that Russell Wilson role, and they see a bunch of chicks uplift Russell Wilson, it's like, more men. See, this is what we're talking about. They're like, hold up. No, we don't want this. This is not the ideal situation for myself. I don't think they're necessarily over there mad that they don't have a daddy. That's funny, but I think I'll disagree on this one. What do you guys think? Comment down below. If I may be wrong here, guys, comment down below.
That's got to be what it is, because it can't just be the fact that Ciara had a baby before, she was married, and then she, had a baby by Future and ended up with that. That can't really be what it's about. You know why? Because why would you be so hard on her, but yet your king and savior Future can go out here and procreate and create the very women who then you turn around and fix your mouth to talk crap about?
He's not my king and savior, at least for myself. Some dudes, and I know there's some dudes who look up to Future, and I think for some of them it's comical, and then there are some who really go out and they think, oh, I'm going to do what Future does and get a bunch of women pregnant. Good luck, man. Good. Tell me how that goes.
That don't even make sense, right? You put a man on a pedestal who's a baby mama maker, a habitual baby mama maker. You put him on a pedestal, yet he's the man that's out here creating the women that you shame and look down on. That don't even make sense. And let's not forget, y'all got a problem with women who got kids, and you got a problem with women who don't have kids, because I'm a woman who don't have kids, and I catch just as much crap from y'all for not having kids than a woman who got kids. So there really ain't no winning with y'all, which is the reason why women like myself have chose to opt out of procreating and having more kids to put into this world.
I don't think there's anything wrong with a woman who doesn't want kids. That's okay.
Because something wrong with a lot of y'all, right? And no child of mine deserves to have to be here with you. And that's why I won't be having no kids. But to bring the point back home, at least get up off your knees and let Future zip his pants back up. Y'all got to be exhausted trying to take up for this man and make excuses for this deadbeat. Even Young Thug got another prison call in a leak where he called Future a deadbeat, because that's what it is. That man is a deadbeat. And any man that take up for him is just as sorry as he is. And the reason why you can take up for him is because you see yourself in him. And the reason why you can hate on a man like a Russell Wilson is because you're upset at the fact that nobody ever came in and wanted to do more than just smash your mama. No man.
Damn. I do want to say that maybe this is for like a particular segment of men who actually look up to Future and think, hey, I'm going to live my life according to who Future, like they actually replicate that in their lives. And if that's true, I guess the message for you.
They never came in and actually wanted to take on the role of being a father to you. And you hate that. You hate watching another black boy get that opportunity to where his mama may have had a baby with somebody, but another man stepped up and took care of what that other man didn't do. Nobody ever did that for you.
Well, let's check out a few of these comments with the people have to say. Top comment here says, see, Cece is better than me because I would have changed his name to the Future Russell Wilson. Here's somebody else who says, every man but Future is upset. Another person here adds, it's the nobody ever Russell Wilson, you or your mama. For me, here's somebody else who says, the jealousy is real. They're big man. Another person here added, I love Russell. That's a real man. I don't look down on Russell Wilson. I do think he's a great father. And if you ask me, if I was building a community and you asked me, would I want more Russells or more Futures? Of course, I'm going to pick more Russell Wilsons, right? Why would I want a generation of trauma? Unfortunately, the women would pick Future. Oh, you like that?
Drink the coffee, it'll make you feel
You like
better.
that?
Drink the coffee, it'll make you feel better.
Come on. The women would pick Future. And then they'll come back and say, hold on, we made a mistake. Can we take this back? Can we take this back?
At some point, every young man realizes nasty guys get more sex, and they realize that people who push women around can be very successful. And you have to say to yourself, well, is that who I want to be?
What the psychopaths and narcissists, the Machiavellians, and even the sadists do, the men, the false confidence of the narcissist is a mimicry of competence. And that can be put on very early. And young women are particularly susceptible to that camouflage. And that partly accounts for the differential success of, bad boys, let's say. Now, it's partly because the women are looking for the beast that can be turned into the ally. It's not easy for them to distinguish the beast who is beast right to the bloody core and should be stayed away from in every possible way from the potentially redeemable, Philip Marlowe hero.
And it's a lot harder when they do not have a father figure. But yes, I think the statement at the very beginning.
At some point, every young man realizes nasty guys get more sex.
That the nasty guy gets more sex and gets more play. And he goes on to say,
and they realize that people who push women around can be very successful. And you have to say to yourself, well, is that who I want to be?
And you have to decide, is that who I want to be? Do I want to turn into a full-on dog? And unfortunately, that comes with its own cons. Multiple baby mamas, toxic, chaos. What is your life? What are your principles? You get to decide. Of course, we have Jordan Peterson here. And I remember in one video, I was saying that Future is, to many men, I think, many men look at him as the karma of the chicks who thought, I'm just going to run the streets and get away with it. And boom.
But what did you get? What did you get? Your fat back-ass mammy laid up on her back, getting ran down through for the whole city every time they can hear it running in and out the house, fucking your mama on that goddamn rental center furniture with the roaches running around in the dark. These musty, stank, dusty, impoverished men get online every 3 to 5 business minutes to tell us that Russell Wilson is a simp. If that's what a simp look like, baby, sign me up, okay? Sign me up. I want one. Because what the fuck? Not only is he handsome, successful, he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. I can't really speak on his character. All I know is what the media shows. But baby, from what the media shows, Russell Wilson is literally the total package. And that's why y'all are mad. Y'all would have loved to have a stepfather like a Russell Wilson. Y'all would have loved it. And that's how I know y'all projecting. Because y'all wanted a stepfather similar to a Russell Wilson. But what did you get? What did you get? Your fat back-ass mammy laid up on her back, getting ran down through for the whole city every time they can hear it running in and out the house, fucking your mama on that goddamn rental center furniture with the roaches running around in the dark. She wanted to keep the lights off because there's roaches everywhere. That's what you had to grow up with. These people been married for 10 years, 10 plus years, and y'all still on here talking about the same old thing. Young Thug literally just came up with an audio tape of his phone recording with Mariah Science while he was in jail, talking about how Future gonna take care of his kids. And you know that he ain't lying, because that was literally, he didn't think that shit was gonna get out. That wasn't in no media interview. That was on an intimate phone conversation that he had. Everybody knows that man don't take care of his kids. Everybody knows it. So why are y'all sitting on here going so hard to finna talk about some Ciara should have never changed his last name? I'm pretty sure that baby wanted his last name to be Wilson. Same way Lori Harvey running around here talking about her name Lori Harvey. Okay? The successful daddy. Same way, what's the name? Diddy's son. That's really Al B. Shore's son running around here talking about Diddy his daddy. That baby wanted his last name to be Wilson so he could be in uniform with the rest of his siblings and the rest of his family. Okay? I know you niggas don't know nothing about family, but I'm pretty sure that baby wanted to be like the rest of his family, wants to feel like he was a part of that family. And Ciara made that shit happen. And y'all bum ass niggas getting out here complaining about it as if you got a dog in the fight. Go take care of your own kids.
So did y'all see Future's response after finding out that Ciara and Russell definitely did legally change Future Jr.'s last name to Wilson? Basically, like, this response right here is absolutely insane because, dude, this is your son. Not to mention, he got your whole face and your rap name, bro. Like, this one of your kids.
So he says, I don't give an F, congratulations.
And this is how you react. Like, he gonna be bitter forever. And like, mind y'all, this been going on long before Russell came in the picture. When Ciara decided she didn't want to deal with him no more, she chose herself and she decided to call off their engagement after he cheated with his assistant allegedly and wanted no parts no more with him. He been acting a fool ever since.
I mean, what did you expect? What did you expect? Here's the truth. They love this. If they didn't like it and it didn't matter, then I don't think a lot of these chicks would stay stuck on what Future is doing. I mean, what's the benefit? What's the lesson here? There has to be some other lesson other than something we already knew. Future's toxic. You thought he was going to say, well, I'm glad that man needs some positivity in his life. No, that man told the whole world what he's about. Rapped it on a song, sung it in music in case you couldn't understand the raps.
And it's crazy to me.
Why is it crazy?
How you tripping and making your son pay because of something that you messed up? Like, dude, just take your L. Like, and to think that this is the same dude that people be defending. Like, at this point, this dude is like the bitter baby daddy president. Like, this here takes the cake. Like, cause for real.
Next comment here says people are fighting for Future and he doesn't even care himself. Somebody else here says she couldn't do that without his legal consent. He knew. Another person says he cares. When I care, I don't respond.
And I don't care how many children y'all had after Future's child. I don't care how you try to change his last name to yours. You're still pushing another man's legacy and seed, and it's sad.
Man, shut your ass up too. It's a lot of fatherless behavior going on the internet where, first of all, y'all think that, just listening to the video, a lot of y'all think because a woman has a child, she should be punished for the rest of her life. That's what you think. You think that women should just not get married, be happy, live a successful life.
I agree. There's some men who think that.
Because that's how your whole video went. Was that, oh man, well, Future wore her out. Future had one child with that woman. While Future has multiple children and is not married at all. Like, he's created broken families, right?
Right.
And at least Ciara said, listen, the next man I'm gonna marry, I'm gonna give him children. And, Future being in that household wants to feel a part of the family, is now given the last name Wilson, which is amazing. I applaud every decision that Ciara and Russell has made, especially for that child, to bring that child into the family, to make that child feel wanted within that family. And men who disagree with that are simply miserable. You're a miserable man.
Who disagrees with that? I'm very happy that the child has a place, for sure. I'm happy that the child has a father, a good role model to look up to. The problem, again, is, hey, be more like Russell Wilson and understanding what Russell Wilson was okay with accepting and him being that role model, while they look down on couples like this, is the actual problem. It seems like a lot of people just don't get it.
I think what men struggle with when it comes to the dynamic of Russell Wilson, Ciara, and Future is that Russell Wilson was not the first choice. They're trying to figure out why Future got to go first. And to me, the conversation is childish, it's immature, but on some level, it's extremely legitimate because it has a track record overall in the social landscape. This has always been a question. Why do women choose bad boys? Why do women choose the guy that they know is no good? You know that's not your forever. You know he shows no traits of being a good father or a good husband or even a good boyfriend, yet he gets a full access pass to not only your body, but your emotions as well. And an even deeper question would be, why don't the good guy and the good girl ever meet each other on the first try? And I think that's another discussion within itself. But I think for the most part, it's extremely toxic how a lot of these guys are approaching it. A lot of these guys want Ciara to suffer consequences based on the perception of her actions. So they perceive her as ran through. They see her as damaged goods. So she should be a single mother. She doesn't deserve love. She doesn't deserve Russell Wilson. And to say that someone who has changed their expectations, someone who has changed who they are as a person, does not deserve what they earned, that's wrong, because that defeats the purpose and fruits of change. However, I still stand 10 toes down that this is a legitimate question, and I'm going to tell you why. Because later on down the
I like this dude. He gets it. He gets it more than most.
line, there are discussions about holding other men accountable, telling other men to be better men, to actually push them toward and encourage them toward marriage and matrimony and general monogamy. But if I tell them to be all these good and sweet things to women, and they are not getting chosen first over the guy that does none of that, how am I supposed to convince them?
He's hit it on the head there. And just to say this, I also want to add this. Just because you guys may not see the consequences of Ciara's first choice, trust and believe that she's going through it. But I really want to focus on what he's saying right there. He says men are wondering why weren't they first? And he's hit it on the head. But I'll even give men more leniency because I don't think men are sitting there going, hey, I wanted to hit it first. Hey. I think men are actually more forgiving than that. If she didn't, and I promise you, bro, if she did not have a child with him, this wouldn't be a discussion. I think all too often, men in their real lives, bro, in real life, they run into these chicks who maybe passed up on them earlier, or who they dealt with before, and for whatever reason, things didn't work out. And they come with the baggage of other children by men who are like, oh, he ain't shit, he's nothing, and you're wondering, and they're like, but what about you? What's up with you? You're like, me? No, thank you. Put that coffee down. My main point is, it's not about who hit it first. I think men, they're not looking for virgins today. It's about like, how much baggage are you coming with? And unfortunately, Russell Wilson, though he is, I believe, a good father, and from what I see, a good influence in his family, and is holding his family down, and it's a more positive environment, obviously more positive than the future situation. He's been propelled up to this example of what men should do and follow, because conveniently it fits a lot of these chicks' narratives who are doing the Ciara prayer, and men aren't down with that. They just aren't, and I don't blame them.
Probably gonna have to do 2 videos on this. Channing Crowder of The Pivot. I saw the clip of these guys, Ryan Clark, Channing, having this conversation about Russell Wilson. And I'm going to say this, and I mean this from my heart. At what age, as black men, do you all give up wanting to be cool? Ryan Clark brought up the interview that Ciara did on The Breakfast Club and how he felt she handled it with grace. My issue is that what should have been done was you all should have been apologizing. Instead, you talked in circles and still ended up promoting this stereotype that black men are not cool if they not street niggas. And on to say how Ciara handled this with grace, and because Channing's name was brought up by DJ Envy, and how, the coolest thing about Russell Wilson is how he takes care of his family. Channing goes on to say that nobody's going to, change his mind about what he said. And he said Ciara wouldn't have picked, she's from Atlanta. She wouldn't have picked a guy like Russell Wilson if she was still in Atlanta. Now, he then goes on to say that Russell Wilson would be considered cool to inner city Atlanta dudes like him. This man is 41 years old with 3 children, his oldest being a girl. So what you're telling me and the rest of the world is that it's okay for your daughter to go out and date a Future because he's cool, but not Russell Wilson because he's not cool to inner city guys. The ridiculous thing to me is that you are even using inner city dudes from Atlanta as a place to measure. You're measuring Russell Wilson. You're comparing Russell Wilson to dudes in Atlanta who probably ain't never left the hood. And this right here, this type of shit right here, is why it is so difficult for young black boys to ever see themselves being an individual. This is what happens when you give ignorance money. This is what happens when the only option that a lot of them feel they have is rap, the streets, and fucking sports. Why is it that we want to put lame next to people who don't want to share in those experiences of having to come out of the trenches? That wasn't that man's life. So y'all want him to go around here flogging? Y'all want him to go around here acting like he a real street dude, and he know for a fact that that is not who he is? That was never his life? So you're going to penalize him for having a better life, for choosing better, and for... I really want black men to start holding black men accountable. It's really disheartening to even hear that y'all are speaking on another black man and his family. And y'all only gripe with this black man is that he's not cool. So if he's not cool, what is Future? And then y'all wonder why so many of these black boys choose to go and jump into shit that they are not even built for because they want to be considered cool. I am very disappointed.
Hey guys, as always, I appreciate you for checking out yet another episode of the Coffee Pod. To my currently engaged or soon to be married men, if you need a prenup and would like a guide that shows you how to get a solid and legally binding prenuptial agreement, hit the link into the top of the comment section and access your guide at fathershaverights.com today.